All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. My name is Jeremy Haynes, and I've been helping people hit $1 million a month now for essentially my entire career as an agency owner. That's been my goal the entire time. I switched up my game plan a little bit in the year of 2017. I wanted to start getting paid rev shares when we'd help people hit $1 million a month. So from an incentive perspective, I did it a hell of a lot more times after having an incentive versus before. But regardless, we've been taking people to a couple million or at least $1 million a month. In a worst case scenario, high hundreds of thousands of dollars a month now for a little over a decade as a marketing agency. We have students, we have clients, we have consulting deals, a combination of all three of these where we've seen results across the board, taking 36 different businesses to over $1 million a month. We are a hair away from the 37th and the 38th joining in, but I'll update that 36 to that number respectfully when it happens. One common characteristic that I see amongst the people who have done it, that we've worked intimately with, has been this concept that I call tweaker mode, okay? Tweaker mode is a mindset, first of all, and it embodies speed, okay? That's the foundation to the entire mentality of tweaker mode. These business owners and entrepreneurs who hit these high levels of revenue, I mean, when you just look at the statistical percentages of human beings on earth that own companies that enter into the $10 million plus a year club, it is 0.01% of all businesses, okay? It is a very small, it might be 0.1%, just to be clear, not 0.01%, but regardless, a very small percentage of businesses on earth, okay? My camera people, they'll edit in whatever the actual statistic is after the fact. There it is. Okay, anyway, I digress. My point being, it's not just like they have a different offer, you know? It's not just like they went into a particular type of business and like, boom, $10 million just lands on their lap. That's not how it works. These people operate differently, you know? They have a different way they behave. Like as an example of that, you know, not to be like super cliche or cheesy sounding using an Elon Musk reference here, but like, dude, Elon Musk gets a hell of a lot more accomplished than every single person watching this video combined in his 24-hour day in comparison to what we do. And sure, he has infinitely more money than all of us as well, most likely. But at the end of the day, it's like he himself operates a very particular and highly efficient way in order to accomplish the amount of things that he accomplishes and continues, by the way, to take on more, okay? That's not a random event. That's not luck. That's not just something plopping in your lap. It's tweaker mode, okay? Tweaker mode in Elon's case to the extreme. When I say this mindset embodies speed, like I'll give you a great example from a recent inner circle student, and I'll also give you an example from a client. So we get a student that comes into the group, first day joins in. What we always have people do is, you know, introduce yourself to the group, like tell us who you are. And sometimes there's opportunities to immediately coach and implement something. And there was this guy, he joins in, he was around 100 to like 200K a month, you know, give or take. And this guy had a problem. It was a very simple problem. He needs to go out and hire some closer, okay? When you quantified his specific problem, it came down to about $140,000 to $200,000 a month that he was leaving on the table. This guy claimed he wanted to make $1 million a month, okay? $1 million a month, when you could tack on an extra 140 to 200K a month by solving just one specific problem in his case, hiring more closers. He couldn't spend more money if he wanted to on paid advertising because his booked calls would be more than a week out if he did. And as everybody who runs call funnels here knows, you're gonna have horrid show rates, all kinds of problems start to occur, typically when you go more than like 3 to 5 days out max, you know what I mean? So I digress. My point being, he knows that he's inhibited on his ability to scale. He's doing all the sales calls himself. But here's the thing, like the guy had a huge library worth of training material from all these recorded sales calls that he's done, both successful and unsuccessful. In addition to that, this guy had a whole list of like SOPs, systems, and here's the best part, he's been doing it himself, okay? That's the best part because he can get these new people on board and know exactly what to teach them to do, exactly what to teach them not to do. And in his case as well, he has a whole training library that he can run people through. Now, you know, outside of just hiring these closers, a lot of business owners nowadays, they'll turn to different sales agencies. And, you know, to be fair, there are a few. As an example, Wires from Strangers, Josh Troy, he's tremendous with his sales agency. Literally, in my opinion, the best by far. There's atrocious sales agencies that hire like young 18 to like 22-year-old dudes to sell high ticket offers. And usually guys like that, like they'll get stuck with a lot of like wholesale offers. And I mean, truly, like they're not real salespeople. These types of closers, they're looking for lifestyle, you know, stay away from those. Now, to be clear, without this guy falling victim to, you know, the higher probability of having a shitty sales agency, I encourage him just to hire direct. And he's like, oh, well, how do I go about doing that? This is a big thing that happens. And this is something that I encourage, to be clear in terms of like a body. So unanswered questions, they equal stalled progress, okay? So when we look at somebody who's stuck, okay, and we just see like this guy as an example, he wasn't moving, you know, he's just doing the same thing every month. There was no difference, there was no variation. It was like literally the same, plus or minus a couple extra deals that would make or break 100 extra grand in a month, right? Now, that little extra time, that's all it takes, that little tiny bit of extra time to like figure out, okay, well, how do I hire sales? Not a sales agency, like what do I do? So I go on my story, I make it super easy for him, and I just post. I'm like, hey, like if anybody needs a job who's a closer, not a sales agency, like go hit this guy up. He gets blasted, you know, with a bunch of people who want to come and have the opportunity to work for him. And here's the best part, like this guy, no exaggeration, could pay a closer like 20 to 50K a month. You know, he has a great commission structure, great offer, and you know, I digress. My point being, okay, there's plenty of ways outside of obviously posting on my story. And I teach him those ways too, so he can do it on an ongoing basis. I had a whole video I sent over to him on exactly what to do, like step by step to the T. So he now knows that. He gets all these interviews lined up, and he does it in a very efficient way. Giant group interview first, sets a few calls with individual interviews that he wants to talk with, gets on about 8 interviews in total, finds like 1 or 2 that he liked a lot. One specifically stood out more than anything. He needed to hire more than 1 though. Ideally, he could get 2. So he starts going down that other path. Okay, I'm gonna start posting in these other Facebook groups. I'm gonna start recruiting, you know, I'm gonna start getting more interviews lined up so I have more leverage and so I have more options. And man, 140K to 200K a month, that would take him an extra 14 to 20% closer to his $1 million a month goal. That would put him at a total of like, give or take once again, 24%, once again, give or take the month, maybe 34%, all the way up to like 40, 50% of the way there. And man, just to sit around and not do anything, this is what a lot of business owners get stuck in. We had a sales call the other day, and this guy shows up to the call and he says he's been at 250K a month for 3 years. Okay, like 3 full years of 250K a month. And he's articulated himself to us. He's saying, well, you know, I've done these DM ads and they've historically worked for my offer, and like, you know, then they kind of didn't. So then I started doing a VSL call funnel, and like, you know, that worked for a while, and then all of a sudden it didn't. And, you know, then he's just kind of like rotated between these 2 different types of funnel strategies, you know, like one works for a little bit and then it doesn't. And he's worked with this terrible marketer that's like, you know, a couple $1,000s a month, you know, doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Anytime the guy says, listen, he has like $1,000 cost per qualified call. And now to be fair to the guys and girls out there who have businesses that have $1,000 cost per qualified calls and are still really ROI positive because you have high ticket offers, I just want to be fair in saying this guy's not in that case, okay? $1,000 cost per qualified call for him is insane. Didn't make any sense. And you know what his marketer tells him when he says, hey, like we have a lot of quality issues? Marketer just says, oh, it's your offer type. It attracts a lot of brokey. Well, you then audit what the marketer was doing, and this guy, he was sending all the unqualified and qualified people back to the pixel under the same standard event, which muddied up who the pixel was probable to go after next. The guy was spending $2,000 a day, $60,000 in a month, and couldn't figure out optimizations to attract higher quality people. You dig a little deeper, you see that the guy's messaging hasn't varied at all. Essentially just a lazy, low-paid marketer that, you know, to be fair, also didn't have a really big incentive because he was paid so little on the account to do much different. He's essentially just paid to do exactly what happened for 3 years. Maintain a certain amount of revenue so the justification could be made easily of like, we can keep paying this guy because, you know, he's ROI positive on what he's doing, even if it's only by a little bit and all the statistics are easily doubleable. The ROAS could fucking double, triple, quadruple. But I mean, why would the guy care, you know? For 3 years, 250K a month, his paychecks are getting stroked every month. There's no resistance or hesitation. So anyway, it took 3 full years is the point I'm trying to make for this guy to break that cycle, okay? Talk to the big dog and essentially get to the point where he's now on the path to hitting $1 million a month. Like we come into this guy's business, there's infinite ROI actions that could be taken to lift the ROAS up. And we just start in the highest probability, highest priority to drive revenue actions and just rapidly work through that list. We come in and we shift the organization from this like, la 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 la, you know, just like this lackadaisical, it's just another month shit to like, no, we are in fucking tweaker mode over here. Okay? We are going to move with speed. We are going to move with urgency. Okay? We are going to identify any and all problems, and we're going to attack mode. We are on offense. We are not on defense. Okay? We are not in a position where we are going to try to be reactive. We are going to be proactive instead. Okay? we are gonna come in and we're gonna make everybody go faster. We're gonna get more data faster. We're gonna do everything quicker. You know what I mean? And as a result of this, you create a substantial quantity of unanswered questions that start popping up, okay? Like, why was this happening? Why was that happening? And the speed in which you go through those specific questions literally dictates progress, okay? So like, as an example for the 3-year guy, it's like, dude, he's at $250K a month for 3 years. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It was a combination of like 5 unanswered questions. Like, well, okay, well, why is the marketer continuing to do what he's doing? You know, why is this funnel working and then not working? Why is this funnel working and then not working? Why do we get so few unqualified people per day? And why does nobody give a shit? You know, those 5 questions all being attacked aggressively in this guy's case, dude, it's like I come in and I answer those questions immediately, get answers to them, and deploy solutions around what the answer is. Just remember, when I say unanswered questions equals stalled progress, it's pretty simple. If there's no answer, there's no solution. You're just sitting on a question. You can't have progress when you're at a fork in the road, because you don't know what way to go. And here's the thing, like, people want to justify, oh, well, I'm too busy. Like the guy who was at 100 to 200K a month and just not hiring closers. His unanswered question was, well, how do I hire the closers? You see? No joke, as soon as I get him to the other side of that question, what happens immediately is progress. Like immediately, even if it's not instant revenue, because it's a bullwhip effect. Like when you get to the point where here is the origination of the question. The bullwhip effect, meaning it's like, all right, the first things that occur before it picks up a tremendous amount of energy is just the interviews, you know, not even the interviews technically, like talking back and forth with the people, then getting on interviews, then hiring, then training, then getting them on sales calls, them closing deals, scaling up, doing it again. You know, it's like the bullwhip effect occurs, simply put, when we attack the unanswered questions and start the process of that energy shift that occurs where it picks up through time. It's like a ripple, you know what I mean? A ripple effect when it first starts is just one little rock or something getting thrown into the water. And then that diameter, you know, the circumference of the ripple gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how this works with the bullwhip effect. I don't need the guy to make instant revenue. I need him to start the process of the whipping. You know what I mean? That's the unanswered question, in that case, get an answer. So tweaker mode, to be clear, just to reiterate, like this is 1000% $1 million a month earner characteristic. It's a state of like just excessive urgency, you know, being able to identify rapidly. Like, what's the difference between me and these operators I just talked about? I come in tweaker mode. My speed is adjusted to a greater point than the speed in which they've been operating. So me coming in has an effect on them. You know, a great example of this, like this is just a basic physics lesson that you likely learned in probably middle school, you know, or depending on your school districts, maybe like early high school. And it's the lesson of an object in motion, right? Has a higher probability to move an object that's not moving when it hits it. So as an example, I come in at 1,000 miles an hour and they're going 10 miles an hour. When I slam into them energetically, do they move faster as a result of that, or do they stay at 10 miles an hour? Like mathematically, there's not a chance in the world, unless I'm like a feather or something and they're a wall, that could have an impact. And to be fair, like, you know, that technically does happen in the instance somebody like me tries to come into like a huge corporation, you know, like the huge corporation acts as the wall. I might act as like, I remember playing wall ball as a kid as an example, like get a little rubber racquetball or something, you throw it against the wall, like the wall doesn't move, you don't even dent the wall, you know what I mean? Technically that energy bounces back the opposite direction. So to be fair, as long as you're like a lean organization that has a high probability to have somebody like that come in, create that type of energy. And this is the best part, right? The reason I make this video is because you yourself as the operator within the business, or just somebody working in the business, like you can enter tweaker mode, and as a result of you starting to move faster, everything else around you, ripple effect, starts to move faster, and it just works its way out, you know? Tweaker mode gets so much done in such a short duration of time, and it's just this unsettling, like, I've got to get all these problems solved. I've got to move this shit forward, you know? I'm not sitting on questions anymore that are unanswered. I'm gonna get them solved. I'm gonna get answers to them. I'm gonna do it all in a tight time frame. That's the biggest thing. Is like people operate on these random, undetermined time frames for stuff. You know, where like, as an example, I have an inner circle student. He's been at like 600 to, some of his bad months are like 400K to be fair. fair. So let's call it 400K all the way up to his best months at like 800K. And he talks to me and he's like, dude, I want to make $1.5 million a month. It's like, man, this guy's been talking to me about this for, I don't know, 6 months or so. And when you look at his life, it's like, it's a very relaxed state. You know, the guy travels around frequently for like short trips, to be fair. He split lives. He has multiple places in which he resides. And these locations, like these environments, also make a huge difference to like how you feel. Just being in a place that has a greater speed. Like every time I go to New York, I just have an urge to just go like walk around and talk on the phone and talk business and shit, you know? It's like, that's from the environment, what you expect being in a particular place. He has a different place that he goes that's a lot slower, and he determines that place to be a place where he can like lock in. But the issue is like the other place that he goes, he says there's always a lot of distractions to participate in. So he defines his environments to have one beneficial and one essentially be a giant distraction environment. That does not allow you to go into tweaker mode. Tweaker mode is like an inherited mental state that you can enter into wherever the hell you're at. It doesn't matter what the environment is. It doesn't matter what the previous conditions by you are defined as. Like none of that shit matters. Tweaker mode is just like a switch. You know, you just flick it and you're like, I'm in the fucking zone. Like it's go time. You know what I mean? It's time to kick this shit up. Man, like this guy's an example once again. He's just in this like relaxed culture that he's created for his life. And like all the people around him, once again, give or take the city he's in, all participate in that same kind of mindset. And like you just don't get shit done when you're in that state, you know? And that's the benefit to this. It's like, to be fair, I don't want you to stay in tweaker mode like 24/7. You know, I want you to be able to shut it off. That's why I say it's like a switch. You know, you gotta know when to turn it on. You gotta know when to relax. Like, dude, Elon Musk, if you actually intimately study this dude, he plays a fuckload of video games, okay? I'm not familiar with the nerd video games that he plays specifically. I apparently play far less challenging games than what he does. And I guess that might be a problem in itself. But my point being is like, dude, Elon Musk still has time to chill and be like a fucking grandmaster or whatever the fuck he plays. You know what I mean? Like he's high levels at these nerd games he plays. And my point being, once again, is like, he can flick the switch off just as much as he can kick it into a gear that's way higher than what most people can, okay? But you gotta embody this. Like you gotta know, man, like yeah, it's great to relax. You know, it's great to travel. It's great to have fun. Like it's great to just, you know, go to bed and actually be in a restorative parasympathetic state and like chill, you know? But at the same time, dude, you gotta know, you gotta be able to observe and be self-aware within your organization when shit is just turtle speed, you know? And it's in your staff, it's in you, you know? And you gotta know when to kick it up and just annihilate all of it and just radically move through problems, you know? Radically move through them. Abrasive speeds. Look, I've been seeing it a lot recently. That's why I made this video. Tweaker mode is just a huge opportunity for an organization to have a much higher probability to get to $1 million a month. Because once again, the speed in which you solve problems dictates the speed in which you progress. Okay, so you solve problems slow, you progress slow. And that might be why you've been stuck. You know, that might be a big reason in which you haven't been able to make as much forward momentum as what you think you should. You're not creating enough energy to do so. You know, you're like barely making a little rip. You ever skip a rock or something and it like, you're kind of almost surprised. You see like a diver at the Olympics, their fucking splash is so small, so precise the way they dive. The pool barely moves, like the rest of the water barely moves as a result of them diving in. And they get scored higher, obviously, when they accomplish that. It's like versus a belly flop in the water creates like enough inertia and momentum in the water to kick the water out of the pool. You know what I mean? That's what you're trying to do. Like you're trying to cannonball into the fucking pool and create a big fucking splash. When you're in turtle speed and you're barely moving forward, once again, you're just stagnant and stuck. It's like, dude, you're not doing shit. Like you're doing perfect dives into the water, barely causing anything around you to move as a result. That precise shit, you know, that comparison I'm trying to make, like tweaker mode is you impact so much around you when you're in tweaker mode. You know what I mean? Versus that precision shit you try to do where you're like surgeon trying to create as little impact on everything else around it as possible. That's not what you want to do when there is a stacked quantity of problems and unanswered questions against you, holding you back and keeping you in a stagnant place. Move forward faster by embodying tweaker mode, okay? By the way, just like what I've said in this video as an example, man, I press the hell out of my inner circle students when I can tell that they need this kind of talk. And I do it a lot more aggressively than what I've done here with you today, I assure you of that. Very intolerable of my inner circle students not moving forward because they're a representative of my product, you know? The results that they get or do not get are quite literally a representation of my ability to help move them forward. So, you know, if you want lessons like this, you want that accountability in your life, you know, you're missing somebody who can come in and just shake things up and help you move forward, dude, I got you. Join into the inner circle, okay? Prices will be going up soon. We've had a lot of people join in. This is not some fake marketing stunt, by the way. I mean this shit whenever you hear it come from me, okay? We have a limited quantity of people we can have in that group because, to be clear, we offer one-on-one with me personally in it up to twice a month, okay? I do the inner circle because I love it. I've made a lot of money off the inner circle, to be clear, not from your payments, but from the things I learned that I didn't get to go do from some of those higher level people. And to be fair, even the lower level people in the group share great lessons that can turn around and make me a lot more money in the things that I do to make a lot of money. So to be clear, I love it. It's one of the best financially irresponsible things that I do with my time, okay? I enjoy it thoroughly. And to be fair, once again, because it's a limited quantity of people that we can allow in, occasionally we have to bump the price up to try to slow the quantity of people joining in down. So once again, not a marketing stunt. If you want in, I'd join in sooner than later. Otherwise, to be fair, once again, value's there, but it'll just cost you more in the future. So twice a month one-on-one calls, weekly group calls on Saturdays, 4 times a year masterminds here at the P House. And in addition to that, we have a group chat full of all the other ballers in the group, rich people trying to get a whole lot richer. If you're interested, there's a link down in the description. Whether you join or not, enjoy all the videos on my channel. They're all intended to help you get your $1 million months. Subscribe, like, comment, share your thoughts on this. And of course, thank you for joining me. I'll see you in another video.